Okay, hi everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. We are live. We'll just give it another second for folks to trickle in.
It's the dress for me. Mm-hmm. It's the makeup for me. Come through.
Oh my God, I hear all of y'all.
Yay! We hear you
Hey,
too.
Jasmine.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hi, Jasmine.
Everything for me. Oh yes, I'm going to enjoy this tonight.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, what is going on with this camera? Lord Jesus. Are we live and in color?
We are live. You know what? Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Stardust and for this post-show chat. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Jasmine Rice Labeija of the Royal House of Labeija. We're so glad to have her here. I know that some of you are fans, and it's great to have you here in particular. Jasmine, thank you so much. We stan. My name is Adrienne Boris. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of Helios Opera, and I use she, her pronouns. And just before I introduce Jasmine, I will go ahead and ask the beautiful cast and creative team that we have here tonight to go around and also introduce themselves, starting with Felix.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felix Jarrar, and I'm the composer of Stardust, and I was also the collaborative pianist for the socially distant recordings for John and Keith's direction with Victoria. And I live in Brooklyn, so I'm in my apartment right now, and it's really cold. And my pronouns are he, him, his.
Victoria?
Hi, my name is Victoria Davis. I was the singer for this fabulous production. I am from Washington, D.C., currently residing also in the big BK, Brooklyn, New York. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
John?
I'm John De Los Santos, the director of Stardust. I live in Manhattan, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
And Keith?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keith Browning. I was the assistant director and lighting assistant for the performance tonight, and I live in Queens. My pronouns are he, him, his.
All right, so our wonderful special guest, Jasmine Rice Labeija, has been stomping the grounds of New York City since Pride of 2012. She is known for her beauty and incredible talent. She has won numerous titles around New York City since she started her drag career, including Miss Barracuda 2014, Miss Industry 2015, Miss Monster 2016, Miss Get Out Magazine 2016, and made top 5 at Miss Continental Plus 2016, her first year competing, and 2017. She recently competed for Miss Continental 2017 with the Skinny Girls and made top 3. She is currently the host of Dragged, which is on its 2nd season and nominated for a Shorty Award in Diversity and Inclusion. She is also featured in a short film called Inside and Outwards, narrated by Sarah Jessica Parker. Aside from her drag career, Jasmine is also an opera singer and a graduate of the Juilliard School. You can find her on Instagram at Jasmine Rice NYC. So I'm going to start things off with a couple questions for Jasmine, actually. So just to start, Jasmine, how did you get started in opera, and what sort of drew you to it, and what did you love about it?
Hi, everyone. I started in, by the way, thank you so much for that marvelous introduction, Adrienne.
You're welcome.
I got started in opera. My whole family were very musical family. Like my father and my mother loved classical music, so all the time, not just classical music, they loved all kinds of music. But I think I fell in love with it because of the fantasy aspect of it all. I mean, we're going to talk about fantasy later on, but the fantasy factor and how everything is so grand and exaggerated and hyper everything, have hyper drama, hyper feminization, hyper masculinization, and all that stuff. So, you know, it was very just like second nature to me. And I love to sing, I love to scream and yell and bark. So, you know, I thought it was the perfect combination for my crazy self to dive into this art form that is called opera.
I love that. And maybe this is my next question is sort of related, which is you've said before, I think, that drag is like one big grand opera. What do you mean by that?
I mean, I think again, it goes back to like, you know, as a kid and while you are a teenager and growing up, you're always trying to play this fantasy, but now we're making this fantasy come to life, whether you're an opera, whether you're a drag queen, whether you're a ballet dancer, all of that. We get to do what we love to do and hopefully make money off of it. But that's why I say that it's a grand opera. I get to be my own creative director, producer, costume designer, musician, prima donna, and an actor and choreographer and all of that. So this whole thing, this production that you're watching is a non-equity production of a grand opera called Jasmine Rice Labeija.
But you're getting equity points, right? So
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Instead of equity points, can I get my Chipotle points? I really want a free burrito bowl. That's what I really want
yeah,
in
absolutely.
life.
Yeah, I'll make some calls on Ninth Ave.
Please.
So this pandemic, I think, has given the opera industry, you know, it's been difficult, but it's given the industry some time to pause and sort of reflect on some pretty big problems that we have. So I'm wondering, you know, if there are certain things that you're comfortable speaking about in terms of what opera needs to do to move forward, and maybe as another side of that question, you know, is there anything that you've seen starting to happen as part of the pandemic that it might be good for opera to kind of keep around
Oh, that
once
is
we're
a
out of
very
this?
dark, that's a very dark, deep question. I normally like it dark and deep, but the opera has been having its problems since a very long time. The pandemic wasn't the biggest issue for me. People have been, I think, walking away from opera for a long time because of those issues. And I was actually talking to Theodora Cotterell, who is my best friend, and she's one of the what you call it, the board members of this whole production. I was just talking to her the other day. You know, opera and opera singers used to be the rock stars. They used to be they used to be the Mariah Careys. Hey, they used to be the Britney Spears and Madonna and the Beyonce and Michael Jackson. They used to be the ones who were basically performing in stadiums. But nowadays, I feel like people became so uppity in a way, and so in a box there's no freedom. And that's why I started to do drag, because I was like, I'm so tired of people trying to put me in this shoebox. And baby, that shoebox better be big, okay, because I'm a whole lot of woman, and I eat a lot of motherfucking Chipotle. Ooh, I'm sorry, I'm cursing. I'm not. Is it okay if I curse,
Yeah, it is.
children?
But like, are you
Is it?
hungry? Because
I'm so hungry. Oh my gosh. I haven't eaten all day just to fit into this dress. Do you see this?
we
I
we
mean,
we appreciate it.
this, and you know, guacamole costs extra at Chipotle. So I mean, I think opera has its problems here and there and all around. And I don't know when it turned into the fact that, no disrespect to anyone on the panel or anyone who's watching, is when did opera singers become a not the priority? I think opera singers are the priority in my, I don't know if I'm just biased because I'm a singer myself, but opera singers, like I was talking to a friend yesterday, you know, people are so scared of conductors, people are so scared of producers, people are so scared of directors nowadays in opera houses. And I was like, you know, do you think Pavarotti cared who the director or the conductor or the producer was? Do you think people who came to see him sing and act and be on stage cared who the producer or the director or the conductor was? Same thing with Maria Callas, same thing with Leontine Price, same thing with Joan Sutherland, same thing with Birgit Nielsen, Tito Schipa, Nikolai Gedda. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think nowadays, especially at the Met, I mean, people ask me, when's the last time you went to go see the Met? I mean, before the pandemic, because I mean, obviously the season is not going on right now. And I was like, not a lot. I mean, most of the times when I see opera and when I want to see opera, I see the old school operas. I see the classics. I see the DVDs that I have in my collection. I don't go to see like new productions or new singers because I feel like, when did the voice not become the main priority or the importance in opera? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have the voice, I mean, I could go hear someone sing, a homeless man sing on the corner, and I could call that an opera nowadays. You know what I mean? So I think opera had its problem for a long time, but I think now people are really realizing how hard it is for actually singers to survive, because those big opera companies and those people, they can survive. They have a lot of donors, they have a lot of money, you know, life goes on. But I think also people are realizing that we're lacking diversity in opera, that we're lacking proper funding and education and sponsorship for singers and artists and everyone who is involved in the opera process. And I think they're finally catching up to the digital era. I mean, look what we're doing right now. We're on YouTube Live, full in color, having this conversation. And they're kind of falling behind because I feel like they're trying to hold on to this, oh, we are this holier than pop music or R&B or hip hop or rap music that we have to keep ourselves distance. I mean, yes, Met does their like live broadcasts throughout the theaters and they have stuff like that, but it's really lacking, I feel like, in creativity and how you could break down barriers to really make opera more inclusive for everyone to enjoy. Because like I said, opera singers used to be the Beyoncés and the Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and all of that.
Yeah, that is, I think we all agree. Everybody's sort of snapping and clapping on mute, you know, because I told them to be on mute. But yeah, 100%. And, you know, also because I've done some work on a new piece called Divas that explored the lives of a bunch of different, mostly 19th century divas and sort of what they had to go through, you know, just to perform. And so this negative stereotype of diva, you know, comes out of just, you know, how difficult it was.
Also, I feel like divas have a bad
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
People love divas. I
yeah.
mean,
Right. Look at
Maria
Mariah
Callas,
Carey and the contemporary divas, you know, is a positive thing. But then when you get
look at
to,
me.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to open it up now to you to ask a couple questions of the cast and creative team and just chat a little bit more about the piece.
Hello, beautiful creative people. I love to see all of you beautiful faces. So let's get this ball rolling. How should I start? Does anyone volunteer as tribute to go first for my questions? Or Felix, I see you raising your hand, honey, with your natural lace front unit that you're rocking right now. I'm just kidding, that's all your hair. Felix, how are you? Nice to meet you digitally like this.
Yeah, it's great to meet you.
So let's jump right in. What was the reason why you chose these three poems as your inspiration and as your lyrics to your three songs?
So I met B.L. Foxley actually online on a group for composers and lyricists and librettists to connect. And she reached out to me after I posted some of my work, and she sent me a document of her poetry. And from that document, I selected these three songs for their musical potential and ordered them in an order that I thought would create an arc. And when she asked about a name, when I asked her, Biel, about a name for the cycle, she came up with Stardust for it. So yeah, and that's.
Hello? I can't hear you, my love.
You can't hear me? Oh.
Now I
Okay,
can
you're
hear
good.
you.
You're good.
Now you
You
can?
just
Okay.
cut out for a second there.
Okay, cool. So the way that the poems were structured, it kind of starts with the self and then self-criticism and then goes up into the whole world. So that's how the reason I like ordered it, with obviously the poet's blessing. So yeah.
That's fab. So the music itself and the poetry were not supposed to go hand in hand, right? It's separate music.
So the music actually ties it together because the poems are
Oh,
written separately, but the music ties all of them together. So you'll hear the beginning of like the first song that leads
yes.
into the second song, and each song, the end of each song is the beginning of the next song in this cycle, actually.
Fab.
So
yes,
yeah.
yes. So when you got reached out to this project and because I was very intrigued by the second song specifically because it reminded, I don't know if this is offensive, I don't know if you found him as it reminded me of Gretchen Amsprinrade, and I was like, is that an underlining tone to it? And if so, why did you use that to kind of incorporate into your composition?
So Gretchen was 100% the inspiration for the devil,
Good.
actually. So I was like really happy when I saw that, and then yeah. So I love Schubert. I play a lot of Schubert, and Kemi's text just resonated with me. Just when I read poetry that I'm setting, I always just hear what comes into my head, and Gretchen came into my head as a musical reference, and so that was one, and the other huge one was the four last songs of Richard Strauss.
Oh, cool. I love that. I love Schubert and Strauss. I was just wondering, when you were writing these pieces, or writing any pieces, but specifically these two pieces, you said that you read the poems and you connected with them. That's why you chose these three poems. Did you see yourself within this poem? Is that why you wrote the music the way you did? And do you kind of secretly wish that you were the one who was singing it?
Oh, so I have no interest in singing. I love collaborative performance. So that's like, but I love writing for the voice because I think it's the most raw expression of emotion, because you don't have another instrument that's just like so human, because literally a human makes it, right? But yeah, I think the poetry also connected with me because I saw different aspects of it, because I think with the devil, like, it's about self-criticism, which I think is so relatable for any artist, especially in the classical industry, where is, and like as a pianist, I can relate to that, like, and especially in the age of recording and everything, and just being very hard on yourself and being your own worst enemy. And the first song, I'm mixed race and Kemi's biracial, so that was obviously an influence, and I think something that I connected to. And then for the last song, it's kind of about something bigger than yourself, which I found to be really inspiring. And I love like doing different things with like different songs in a cycle, so it's not all the same. So like seeing the last one was like, oh, then I went so inward for the first one, I can now go so big and outward for the last one. So I saw like potential for different things. Like, and I'm a person who goes on vibes and stuff. So if I see a vibe that I can run with, then it can like lead me to something. Then when I go into the tech setting, which I spend a lot of time on, and then I work with Victoria a lot, so I knew her voice. She was in my drag opera actually a year ago, and so like I had worked with her, and we did the four last songs on a benefit concert for that piece, and so immediately I related like each of the songs. So like I don't know how many people know this cycle that well. The first song is really inspired by the second song in that set, and then the last song is inspired kind of by the last one. So yeah, so like I definitely drew on the inspiration also from Victoria as a performer. So
you wrote specifically these three pieces for Victoria's voice.
Yes, I wrote everything from the low notes to the high C's and D flats for her.
Oh my goodness, Victoria. Let's move on
Yes.
to Victoria, my singer, my queen, my soprano of it all. And we went to the same school, Manus. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Hey. Hi,
Hello.
Victoria. Nice to meet you.
You as well. First of all, before we go further, I am completely standing for all of the hair, the makeup, the energy, the dress, the vibes, the
Oh,
holidays. I'm here for it.
I
Absolutely.
know, I know, I know. Just kidding. Thank you so much for this compliment. Wait, Victoria, let's get a little. Who did you study with at Manus?
I studied with Dan Marek at Manus.
Oh, shut up. Not a lot of people study with Dan, but he's kind of new at Manus, right? No.
No, he's been at Manus for a couple of years now, maybe 10 years or more, maybe
Oh,
about
work. I'm
15
just
years.
really old. Okay. And I forgot when he joined. Victoria, obviously you are somewhat of a muse to the composer who wrote the specific three songs for your voice. What do you get up from singing these three songs? Because these three songs, especially the poem and the harmony and the notes and how it's all set up, is very particular and has a certain type of undertone under it. So when you first received the song and read the lyrics and listened to the music, what did you get, and what was the process of you trying to really convey the message with your voice?
Wow, that was such a singer question.
I know.
So yeah, I had to sit with the music and the poetry for a couple of days. But initially, when I received the music, I immediately text Felix after listening to it. I'm like, "What are you doing? This is this is absolutely amazing." He has a very particular style. It's very grand, but also easy to listen to. You know, there are some compositions by composers that there's so many different themes and characteristics, so to speak, that while it can be beautiful, it can be hard to digest. And I felt like one of the first things that I noticed as a singer, it was very easy to digest. It wasn't, I didn't feel like he was trying to overly manipulate. He just used what he felt was in my voice, which is with the trills and the highs and the lows and the middles and things that, as we've talked about privately, were maybe not highlighted enough with what we might find in Mozart or Puccini or even Strauss. With the poetry, it hit me in a different place because Madame Foxley, as I'll call her this evening, her writing is striking. It really is. I felt a lot of her pain in the What Am I? I don't identify as biracial, but a circus attraction for your amusement. I read that line at least 5 or 6 times because
So powerful. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, being in this field, particularly in undergrad and even at Manus, I think, yeah, I was the only Black girl. I was the only person of color in undergrad, in the vocal department, and in grad school. So of course, coming in these doors in undergrad and graduate, first of all, classical music is not something that is usually sung by Black people as they suppose or say, or so they say, which that's a lie. I'm just saying. But I remembered one of the memories that I had, particularly in undergrad, was being in a class full of white students and having a professor in music theory explain an excerpt from Beethoven's Third Symphony and comparing it to the Beatles. And then turning to me and comparing Beethoven's Third Symphony to a Tupac song that I'd never heard. And that my classmates, who this happened quite a few times, they would look at me to see how I would react. But no one would say anything in particular because they didn't know either how to respond or they thought that it was something that was normal or that it was natural to happen. And so for the first piece in particular, I think that was one of the most heartfelt pieces of poetry that I've ever read, by a writer who's in my age bracket. The Devil was also a very intense piece because I think we all tip the line with the devil. We all have that funky side with us that we like to play with. Some of us reveal it more than others.
Oh my God.
Some of us reveal more of that side than others. But some of us are closet people. Some of us are people who keep those nasty, secret, dirty, dusty parts of us hidden. But in this piece, it was exposed. The devil was me. The devil was my faux pas. The devil was my sibling. I mean,
At the end of the day, isn't that always the case? The devil is always you. At the end of the day, when you look at life, you are always the one who's getting in the way of yourself, and
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third song.
And then Mother Nature, for me, it is about something that is greater than yourself. But if nothing else, what I gathered from it was a reconciliation with the power within yourself, a reconciliation with going through this journey and being proud of the journey, which is why I think the finale is so important and so powerful, because it is a force to be reckoned with. And it's something that she repeats several times. And each time she repeats it, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then it finally is this resolve. Like Die Junge Nonne by Schubert, where she, at the end, it's this constant trembling in the piano, but by the end, when she sang Alleluia, it's fine. She is resolved. She has made her peace. And that's what I felt was in Mother Nature, going from the beginning with self-esteem issues, maybe with sitting down with herself and working out those inner issues, or maybe those external issues, and then coming to the point where she accepts all of it, come what may. There was no point in the music where there was a cover up for it. There was actually almost an ABA to it in the beat. It's internalizing almost woe is me, but by the end, all is well, all is fine.
Right. Now, I want to segue into that about character development and how it all connected and how it built up. And so how throughout the songs, how it became bigger and outwardly, but it's also internal at the same time. I want to move to Keith and John, the director and the assistant director of the whole program. Now, you guys used in order to really connect the three songs together and make this project possible, you guys came up with the idea of the Greek fates, the three Greek fates, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Moirai, as they're called in Greek, and these are the three goddesses who basically spin the thread of life and decide how long it is, and then decide when to snip it short and end the life. And these three poems have so much unbelievably rich imagery about a lot of different things. But I noticed that each one of them had some kind of a reference to myth. And so I was like, okay, that's a string that ties it together. And I was like, string, wait a minute. So what if we do the three fates, and each one of the three songs is sung by one of these three sisters, while the other two sisters are watching and reacting, because you never hear about just one of the fates. It's always the three of them.
That's what I wanted to ask you about the three fates, because I think the three fates cannot exist by being a one person. It always have to be the three sisters. And I think that's the same thing with this music. It kind of has to exist all together. And what I found really interesting throughout this whole production and the filming and the visual of it all is that it's almost as if, tell me if I'm wrong, I got a sense of that it's almost like the sisters are looking at a mirror and the mirror is looking back at them. And like with the 3 split screens, it almost felt like a 3 different mirror. And only one person is actually standing there looking at the mirror, but it's 3 reflections coming back at back. You know what I'm saying? So was that like done on purpose, and was that the case for the music as well? And like in order to connect all of that together?
Yeah. So just real quick, a big inspiration was the painter Francis Bacon, and he was famous for doing these portraits that basically look like a 3-way compact mirror, where you look in and you have your front mirror and then your 2 3/4.
Right.
Yeah, and so and filmmakers did this. Andy Warhol and John Waters did it as well. And so the idea was there are a lot of moments when you're really only seeing 2 sisters, but the one over here is a mirror image of the other. So we did have a lot of that going on in our minds also, but really the image of a triptych of these 3 faces at the entire time, or images, was really important. And you asked earlier about character differentiation, and actually Keith is the one who helped me really discover that. So Keith, do you want to talk about that?
Hi, Jasmine. Nice to meet you as well. And thanks, John. I think coming into this, one of the things that John saw in me to bring me into this project is how we could effectively manipulate each of the 3 sisters within each of the 3 songs. I mentioned last time I drew big inspiration from the color theories from Silence of the Lambs, and how each of the specific color palettes.
Clarice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But there's actually a specific scene in Silence of the Lambs in which Lecter and Clarice first meet, and you see Hannibal behind the plexiglass. It's like the stone cold gray, and Clarice is in a red and green suit, but her skin is pale. And this is the first time you ever see her fleshed like that. And for the devil specifically, we found a way to have the red envelop Victoria, so envelop the character rather, but her skin still be cold, stone cold and gray. So we were trying to find and manipulate by using, things that we have at home to elevate this project. And that's actually what was really wonderful about this, kind of speaking on how do we bring opera into this modern age. We can do it very inexpensively. We can do it incredibly in an effective way, as we just saw, with literally the things around us. And COVID-19 and being in quarantine has afforded us all the opportunity to do a lot of reflection on how can we do this. We can't be inside of a theater. So, I mean, same with you as a live performer. How do you bring your art to the people now? And I found that this project was really representative of where opera can go.
Right. I think that's also important. And we keep on talking about reflection a lot, but I think it's very, very important, especially with the 3 songs and how this whole project came together and especially during this pandemic, and how we're really looking towards in ourselves to be like, okay, do I really want to do this? Because I have a lot of friends who quit what they did because they couldn't survive without whatever they needed to survive. Whereas me, I could just do this in my own bathroom and live the fantasy, and I'll keep on doing it whether I'm outside or not. And I think that's what it's really coming down to, is self-reflection. And I think that's why this song spoke to me. These 3 songs spoke to me in so many different levels, especially the poetry and the lyrics as well. And the imagery is like, oh my God, every single time I read the poem, it just has a different layer and a different layer and a different layer and a different layer. It almost seems as though like a self-discovery practice and meditation moment, because it's just like, oh, I never thought about that, or I never thought about that. Oh, I never thought about society about that, but I'm also part of the society as well. And I think that's why it's just crazy. And that's why I'm keep on talking about reflection and mirror, because as an artist, I feel like we should always self-develop and self-experiment and stuff like that. And again, I'm going back to the shoebox of this industry. Stop trying to put everything in a box. I think we should reflect everything, put the mirror outside, and amplify everything that we're feeling. So Keith, with the lighting and and the three fates and all of that. Let me ask you this question. Which is your favorite song out of the three? Ooh.
I'll say it like this. And Felix, incredible music. The Devil was an earworm for me. We were shutting down the set, we had stopped filming, and it was like stuck in my head. I could not get it out. But that's how effective it is. But I would say my favorite song is actually Mother Nature. It's so royal. And actually a line popped out to me. I didn't mention the color palette for Mother Nature, but we went with a golden color palette, which means enlightenment. And in respect to the song cycle, this character has arrived. She is here. And so after the supernova explodes, you see this regal woman there, like she is here, she has arrived. But there's a line that really stuck out to me just today. But here she sat, reborn as royalty. And in the very first song, in What Am I? The color palette was a pinkish purple, and purple represents royalty. So while the character is asking this question, what am I? Like all these things, a circus attraction, really what we see as the viewer, or at least what I see, is a royal, regal Black woman. So for me, I kind of went through a whole bunch of other things, but Mother Nature is my favorite song. I really, really, really love it.
You know, I love the fact that it's like so female empowering as well, and women empowering, like Mother Nature. People, and the songs are really, really strong, and it kind of shows the strength of throughout the whole thing. Even the first question, the title itself of Who Am I, right? Is that right? The first song, English, second language.
Yeah, what am I?
What am I? Sorry, not what am I? But even the power to ask yourself, what am I think is incredible strength. And it goes into facing the devil and the mirror image again, and then becoming this Mother Nature. And we see femininity as something weak, but what I see it as a drag queen, and someone who loves women in a different sense of the word, and worship the ground that they walk on. I think it's so empowering to see, especially a woman of color, and some of the lyrics were also written by a woman of color. It's just like so empowering, because we always say, like, femininity is weak or it's fragile. Yes, but those are also strengths. That's what we all say. Mother Nature, our mothers nourishes us, like Mother Earth. Like, we're so empowering, and it's so rich with power and stuff like that. And the fact that we could ask the question in the first song itself is very brave, and it takes a lot of courage. I also want to go to the three fates back again, and the three songs. With the character development, how did you differentiate the three songs but continue at the same times? Maybe Victoria, you could answer that, because the three songs is very different, but all very well connected at the same time. So keeping it very different yet the same, because the three fates, again, we're talking about reflection. They're basically the same people, but three different sides of that same person. So how did you go about singing it and keeping the difference, but yet staying connected to those three characters?
I can definitely speak on the singing portion of it, but yes. I think John is way more suited to speak on the direction of how these three characters came together, because I just really, quite frankly, followed his ingenious directions and what he wrote. The singing portion, like I said, I had to sit with this poetry for a while. I mean, you're also a singer, so when you get new music, when you're trying it out, you sit, you think about the plot, you think about what this character is trying to convey, you think about the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. It didn't take much. It didn't take too much, because I think I was able, more than any other time in my artistic life, at least in classical music, to relate fully to the words, contextually and otherwise, because B.L. Foxley is a woman of color. Right. So a lot of the themes in her poetry it was easier to convey because I actually knew what she felt. And then of course, Felix, I call him my Beethoven. So, I mean, he did what Beethoven would do, which is write fabulously romantic music that just worked. Of course, there are liberties that he was able to take with the music and the poetry in a way that if you were reading it straightforward, it wouldn't be there. I don't believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in What Am I, in the first couple of measures of that piece, when you're singing, I don't believe in the poetry, What Am I is written 3 times. Am I correct? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. That was me doing it with, again, Biel's blessing. But yeah, that was to kind of show a point of that and that question, especially because that's probably the question I get mostly asked about is like, what's my ethnicity or what am I, or like check a box or something. So I felt that line like when I was working on the song, and because that whole introduction, What Am I took on a few versions where there was a song with the poem, but then adding on the introduction to kind of give the meat of what is developed in nature, because those two are like the polar ends. So it served like a dual purpose of like how I feel about it, but also like relating to Mother Nature when you're answering those questions about the self. If that makes sense.
So I want to ask all of you guys, I think it's time for us to a little bit wrap up a little bit and then get the audience questions in here. I want to ask, and anyone can answer, what do you guys, what is your ultimate goal from this specific project and these 3 pieces that you guys put together? What is the ultimate goal? What is the message that you guys want to put out there into the world right now and enlightening people with this amazing project?
I'll go, or I'll start at least. I trained in opera. I got my master's in performance, and if you would have asked me when I graduated if I would be assistant directing or even doing anything along the lines of lighting, I would say you're crazy, because I thought that I was the best thing in the world and that I'd be getting, all these gigs and everything. But I think moving towards figuring out how I can live within all of my training and still develop a whole, plethora of skills is something that I got from this. Just because I'm not singing doesn't mean that, I can't bring anything to the table, because I still know how to read music. I still know all the things that Victoria is talking about. And that in itself elevates me and puts me in a position to...
Wouldn't that be amazing if all the other schools that we paid 50s and tens of thousands of dollars that we paid to gave...
It would be amazing. It really,
anyway.
And you said something at the beginning that I had to write down as a note. You're talking about opera putting people in boxes. I specifically remember in undergrad, my teacher saying, you have to live, eat, breathe, sleep, all that opera. That's it. You can only do opera. If you wake up thinking about anything else, you should get out of this art form. And how restrictive and quite frankly damaging it is to say that to an 18, 19-year-old, when quite frankly, when you're creative, you should be able to create, not just like put yourself in one hole, because that completely cuts off your creative heartbeat. Why would you want to do that? So I took this opportunity to learn how to further my personal skills.
Work. So you were very selfish during this whole project.
Incredibly
Gotcha. Okay.
selfish.
What about you, Felix? When you were composing this, what was the message behind everything that you were writing? What did you want the audience? What was the most important message that you wanted the audience to get?
I think I wanted the audience to just understand the journey of the 3 poems and convey the text in a way that I felt reflected what I felt emotionally with it. This project was so funny because it started off as Kemi Facebook messaging me a PDF and then sending it to Victoria. And then I heard through the grapevine that Helios was looking to do a song cycle project, and then pitched it to them. So like when Kemi and I started this, we really were just the two of us on Facebook, because like she's in the UK. I've never met her. So the expectations kind of have very much surpassed what I originally thought, and it's kind of become a wonderful thing in which it also has direction. John and Keith came on, and Adrian, Theodora, Julian, they all like really wonderfully supported it. And so I think I just want people to enjoy the pieces for what they're worth, and to also kind of understand that like a Stardust is a conglomerate of like all these different stars together, which kind of reflects all of our different backgrounds artistically and personally and everything. And it's like a huge celebration of that. And I've never been part of an operatic production where it was like an all like I'm working with fellow people of color, and that was like very special and meaningful to me. And it was in a very universal and uplifting place. So I think it's like really great to see that on being put out there during this time when we've had this year with all of this upheaval of not only racial injustice, but just like upheaval in the arts in general. And it's at the end of the cycle, it comes out to a very positive place, in the cosmos. So I think it just needs to be enjoyed and celebrated. And I really want to see more pieces like that. And as a composer, it's my goal to like put more of those narratives out there instead of the usual things we've seen in the canon. So yeah, it's just continuing on this path.
What about you, John? What was your message, and what do you want the audience member to get from this project as the director of this whole thing?
Yeah, continuing with our idea of things in threes. The first two are things I always do as a director. Number one, to illuminate the music and the words. Make sure that whatever the intent was behind that, to elevate and express that. The second one is to make sure the singers have everything they need to sound and look as great as they possibly can on stage or on film. The third one that I'm actually the most proud of for this particular project was, so many artists right now have no work or have no creative work. They're having to take other jobs or just look for jobs. And I was so happy that I was able to bring on Keith, who again had never done anything like this before, but also my friend Fabian Hernandez, who designed the light box for The Devil, who had never designed anything like that before. And he had this idea of making these new kind of light fixtures. And I said, could you make something with a couple of these specifications that could do some of these things? And he goes, I guess I could try. I'm like, well, just do it. I'll commission that from you and work that into this. So just like how Helios Opera and Felix reached out to me to say, hey, we haven't got, an astronomical budget, but we have an idea and we would love to collaborate. I'm like, yeah, I want to share that same generosity with other artists who I respect and whose work I really want to see represented right now. So being able to collaborate with people in a new forum and bring them into opera in new ways is always really important to me.
Wait, there was a budget? You guys are I'm doing the shift for free and you guys are getting paid. I'm just kidding. No, it's so no, it's so wonderful to see such a diverse cast and a diverse people working on this amazing project. Especially, I don't want to go too deep with the text and what it represents to me, because I think touched me in my dark little place in a very different way, especially as a fat, feminine Asian person and an opera singer and a performer, going to such schools like Juilliard and Mannes and, getting all these degrees and opera programs. It was very difficult, because especially being a tenor, you always have to play the prince unless you're going to be a character tenor. And baby, this voce is not a character tenor, okay? So it was very difficult to embrace my femininity, which I think is very, very empowering and powerful. And to convey that through my singing and whatever whatnot. They're like, no, you have to act this or you have to act that way. But to hear this music where it's just like, it almost shattered everything at the same time while gluing everything back together, if that makes sense, with all these three songs and the production thing, the production that I saw in this Stardust production. So it was really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for letting me ask you guys all these questions. Can we move on to the audience questions? I feel like we're keep on leaving them hanging and they're like,
yeah,
we want some rice.
There's a two-part question. I don't know, Jasmine, if you can see these questions, but I'm happy to read them out
Oh,
loud.
read them to me.
All right. So from Jessica, how long did each piece take to tech and film? And then related to that, what lighting equipment did you decide to use? I know you said things around the house, but is that the average house or the theatrical film house? Keith.
Do you mind repeating that? Because it cut out a little bit.
Oh yeah, sorry. So how long did each piece take to tech and film? And then
Yeah,
what
got it.
lighting equipment did you use? You said things around the house, but is that the average house or the theatrical film house?
Oh wow, that's a compliment. Thank you. Um, so we were slated to work for 2 days. Our first day was just 2 hours long, and that quickly proved to be not enough time. Though the spirit of the working room was really fun and collaborative. Victoria was game to do anything that John and I threw at her way, but we needed a little more time. So the second day of filming, we were there for 8 hours, 6 hours. I don't know. Six.
During a pandemic?
During a pandemic, masks on, we were being respectful of space. But I mean, we really got these 3 songs, multiple takes done in 6 hours, which was really great. I have 2 lamps from IKEA that I have the Philips Hue bulbs with the colors that I myself was just playing with one day. I took some pictures, put it on my Instagram, and that's what John saw. So that's what we used. The 2 IKEA lamps, 2 smartphones, and a black drop. That was all the things that we used.
And the thing also that a lot of people have not really thought about is that it's not like we spent 6 hours filming just 3 songs. We had to film each song 3 times because each of the 3 panels had a different reaction and a different thing going on with each measure of the music. So it's really 9 little films, 3 within each song.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here and say, like, people think that you need to spend a lot of money for production and stuff like that. There's so many life hacks that you can figure out to film something by yourself in your own little corner, in your own little chair. And thank you for catching that reference, Keith. You're the only one laughing. All of you basic bitches, I mean, basic people can't even
I love
get on with
Cinderella.
it.
Brandy version, right?
I got it.
No, but like, you know, if people who really want to do these projects and stuff like that, there's so many information online, especially, you know, we're living in a technology days. There's so many life hacks on YouTube. Like a photographer friend of mine, I asked him, how do you take photography like that with that lighting? And all he uses is an LED flashlight and his like iPhone camera, and it comes out the most amazing photography ever. And so like there's so many, like, you just have to understand the basics of lighting, and that's basically about it, and just have fun with it. I mean, if it looks like shit, just say that you want it to look like shit on purpose because it represents the fucking world that we're living in right now. Shit. Anyway, any other questions?
Yeah,
Let's keep on reading.
we have time for one more from Anna. So she says, this is for John. Can you elaborate how you portrayed the 3 characters as one person reflected in 3 people?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky because Victoria has a whole arsenal of dramatic experience and expressions available to her, because obviously it was very difficult. You have to act from, you know, the collarbone up, and that's it. And we really wanted to focus on how each of the 3 goddesses reacted differently. The first one, who spins it, is very, very nervous about, oh God, this is a new life, and what direction will it go to? And then the sister who spins it is thinking about, oh, this person's really going on a very difficult journey in their life. Maybe we shouldn't draw it quite so long. Maybe it should be a shorter life. And then the third one is just ready to end it so we can make room for others. And so she and I really discussed very quickly, not only the lyrics, but also musically. What did we hear? What did we hear in there? What clues could we find to really differentiate between the 3? And then in addition to that, you've got what would each of the sisters, how would they react to these different things that she's saying and the different musical moments that were provided. So it was really fascinating because I did a lot of thinking, but I didn't do a whole lot of pre-planning in terms of how I was going to stage this, because I wanted to get the clay, as it were, in front of me with the lights and the music and the singer and everything to really mold it in a way that looked right and looked natural. Because as there's many singers on this call, and they'll tell you that they cannot sing if they don't feel comfortable. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't sound good, it doesn't look good. And so it was really important to me that I built these characterizations with Victoria also, so that we could really create three separate entities. And because it wasn't just about the tops or the jewelry or the hair, we really went through ways of subtle differences between the three throughout the whole cycle.
Wait, it's not about the hair and the jewelry and the clothes? I'm
Not
doing
if
it
you only
all
got 6
wrong.
hours.
Not just.
Also, sorry, Felix. Shout out to Julian, who helped edit the piece of art, honestly, because it was stunning the way that he was able to put those 9 little movies, as John said, together. We couldn't have done this without him.
He's all right. I'm just kidding. I love him. Wait, do you have
Are
any
you
other
jealous?
Wait, do we have any other questions, or is that it? Is that all we have for
So
the time?
one
Or
little Sousson dessert question from the mysterious BL Foxley, who I'm surprised is awake right now. But she wants to know, Victoria, what was your favorite song to perform? And then we'll wrap it up from there.
Ta-da! And that's New York. Okay.
they're like, we're closing down on Monday. We're closing down on Monday.
Facts. My favorite piece, that's really hard. I would say Mother Nature as well, even though The Devil is like a very close second, like Mother Nature is a 10, The Devil is like a 9.98. They're very close.
Wow, you're a size queen, hon. Oh my goodness.
But I think it's my favorite because it made me think about my own journey and self-esteem and seeing myself in a very particular way, because I'm Black and I am plus size and I am curvy, but I have not the curves of Instagram models. And
bro, those Instagram models don't have the curves of an Instagram model, so don't.
No, but you know, like there's a certain aesthetic that comes, unfortunately, with today's society, and I don't fit in any of those boxes. And then I sing classical music, and I have natural hair that is not a 3A, 3B curl pattern. It is kinky, it is full, it is everything to me, though. So Mother Nature kind of, actually, it made me go back to my diaries from when I was a teenager to read over some things that I thought about myself, and then reading and reminiscing over the past year and seeing the difference between the two people, the difference between a 15-year-old Victoria and a 27-year-old Victoria. And they were huge differences. And you don't think about them because you move through life. It's a journey. But there were very big differences that make you look at this entire lifespan. It doesn't seem like much time, but it is, and it's beautiful.
Honestly, I feel like that's a lot of what a lot of people are going to get from this whole project, especially you singing it as a beautiful Black woman with beautiful curls and beautiful curves and all that jazz and beautiful voice, God damn it, is to be who you are and be authentic and be proud of who you are and present the best you that you can be. Because you know what, at the end of the day, you might not know how many people can actually connect with you and relate to you because of your vulnerability, of you sharing this project, of you just talking about how you're Black and how you're plus size and how you have curls and kinky hair and you are singing classical music. You have no idea how many other girls out there who are exactly like you watching this project and saying like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I'm gonna go support this bitch. And I think that's my motto in life in general. Whatever you do, stay true to yourself and be authentic. Don't be put in a shoebox by this industry that is called opera or theater or dance or whatever whatnot. Be yourself and present the best. That's the big word here. The best version of yourself. Okay. So don't try to change who you are, Victoria, because you are freaking stunning. God damn it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that it? Oh, we got
Yeah, I think
overtime.
that's
You
no,
guys
but
can't
I
afford my
mean, that was
overtime.
amazing. I really wish that we could all go get a drink together now, including you,
Oh
audience.
no, I don't
Um,
drink. I
well,
only swallow. Ooh, oh my God, this is the wrong show. I can't say those things. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to
well, it's because we
performing
went.
for.
It's because we went after 9. So the clock just,
Yeah.
your internal clock just switched. So I want to thank Jasmine Rice Labeija so much for being here. It was such an honor and a privilege and a joy and so entertaining as well. I think it's safe to say we all hope you'll come down our chimney on December 24th. So so
Come down your
now you
chimney.
have,
Oh
well,
my goodness.
so now you have lots of new fans and audience, thank you so much for being here. Beautiful creative team and cast, thank you as always for being here, for your honesty and vulnerability. We have one more screening on Sunday. It's at 3 p.m. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, please tell your friends. Hashtag Stardust 2020, hashtag The Devil Was Me. And if you post on your social feed or stories a couple of selfies and a short review of the show, we will Stardust you. So we'll apply our special Keith and John created Stardust aesthetic to your selfies and repost that. It's great fun. We've had a couple people do it already. So until then, take care of yourselves, be safe. Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye,
Wear your masks,
everybody.
people. Bye.